Today we're talking about how to be a guest on a podcast. Being a guest on another podcast is a great way to build your influence and your authority and your audience. Hey, I'm Coach Molle from Visibility Hacking Studios, and we help small businesses grow their visibility online. We build what we like to call connection machines, and part of one of those, I should say, is podcasting. So we're going to talk specifically about becoming a guest on other people's podcast. Here's how to make it happen. We're going to start by talking about why dreams matter. We'll talk about 3 key elements that get you booked and 2 steps to become an A-list guest. For this and more, stay tuned. Roll the intro. Dreams really do matter. I want you to create a list. Literally, we're jumping straight into action points today. I want you to create a list of all of the shows that you would love to be on. I want you to really dive into this dream. This is a really deep brainstorming session. So you're going to list off all of the podcasts that you would love to be on. Then you can go on iTunes and you can look up even more in your categories. I want you to list as many as you can off. Then we're going to go and we're going to pull from those. So we're going to cross out the ones that aren't a good fit. We're going to move forward with the ones that are a better fit. Then we're going to first cull the list by looking for specific podcasts that are within your industry and podcasts that create or that gather an overlapping customer base from you. That's where you're going to find your ideal customers. And this is going to come from that big list that we created. We're going to pull those forward and then we're going to evaluate them one more time. The last thing we're going to do is put those remaining podcasts in a couple of different groups. One group is going to be those who you can reach out to easily, who you might already have a relationship with. Second group are those who you would need to do a little bit of work and connecting with, but you could probably connect with them. These would be our mid-level podcasts. And then you have your A-listers. Those are the big names, the category kings, the top of the market, the ones with the biggest, usually broadest audience as well. So those are going to go into 3 different categories. You're also going to note out on any of those who have very specific connections to what it is that you do or what you talk about on your show. Just give those a little bit of an asterisk just so you have that information. And then the very last thing to do in this phase is to make sure you hit the subscribe button and join us here on the Visibility Hacking channel. We talk about way more than just becoming a guest on other people's podcasts. We talk about everything connection machine. So join us here, hit the subscribe button. Now we have the list, the prime list of people we are going to reach out to. Now I want you to start with that first group we talked about, and we're going to move down all the way to the A-listers sequentially. What you're going to do is start reaching out to these people. We're going to talk in just a moment about what we're actually going to talk about, but I need you to gather your resources, figure out how you're going to reach out and connect to these people, and I want you to gather that information. Now, there are 3 things that we have to put in the messages when we're reaching out to these people to be on our shows or for us to be on their shows. So the first thing you have to talk about is why this would be a really good fit. What is interesting and what it is you'd like to talk about. That's kind of actually the first 2 things. So the first thing is mention what it is you'd like to talk about. Pique their interest. Stroke their ego a little bit if you'd like. Then the second thing is you want to explain why you would be interesting to their audience. You need to make sure that you've done a little bit of homework. You've listened to these podcasts before. You've done your research. You understand what the audience likes, what's the format of the show, and how you would be a good fit in that case. So talk about that. Talk about what kind of value you can provide for their audience. And then the third essential thing you have to talk about is credibility for you. What builds that authority? What builds that credibility? Is there a website that you can send them to that has testimonials or examples of other shows you've been on? Can you throw out some names of shows that you've already been on or have upcoming? That's the kind of credibility we want to sprinkle in there. Doesn't need to be too big, but just enough that the reader, within the few sentences, understands what it is that you want to bring to their audience and that you're actually someone of value. Very, very simple. And if you want to practice those emails, you want to try phrasing it out, then definitely pop it down in the comments below. If you have any questions or obstacles that arise in your process of practicing this, you can put those down in the comments below as well. I'd love to respond to your situations and help you through it. We can always add to that message that we just created, and that is what's going to separate you from the rest of the crowd. So if you've made it this far in the video, you're getting this extra, very important bonus information if you really want to step it up. So there are two things you have to do if you really want to catch people's attention and look professional, have that authority. This adds to the credibility that we just talked about. This is showing that you are professional. You know what you're doing. You're not just some teenager sending messages back and forth. Like, oh my goodness. Okay, so I used to have all of these staff when I worked in a different world, and I'd have to communicate with them about their shifts, and the kinds of responses I would get were so casual and so just like one-word messages. Yeah, nah, no, bro. Like, that is not the way to really establish your credibility, because I promise you, the staff who get the most shifts are the ones who communicate professionally. Same thing being a guest on people's podcasts. If you can show them that you're not just some guy running a small business who doesn't really care and he's really just trying to scam people or whatever, I don't know, I'm just picking scenarios off the top of my head, and you want to be like, yeah, I run a six-figure business. Well, the difference is in the two things that we're just about to talk about. So take that message that we just created, and the first thing I want you to add on to it are keywords that will be used or that the person you're approaching can use to help promote the episode that you are on. Doing that kind of work for them shows A, you know what you're talking about, B, you know how to leverage a piece of content for a larger audience, and it also shows that you're professional about this because you're doing some of the work. You know that it's a collaborative effort. That's really, really big. So do your research about the keywords that are important and relevant for when you are appearing on people's shows. So if you have specific topics that you're talking about when you're approaching these different podcasts, say you're doing a media tour for a launch, tailor those episodes and that speech around a particular topic that you're going to generate those keywords for. The second way to really blow people's minds when it comes to being a guest on their podcast is to also, in that message, talk about and outline some of the ways that you and your team will be promoting that episode as well. Just because it's not your show, you're not able to get all of the views and stuff like that for your monetization. You're helping them create a bigger impact with that piece of content, so it reaches more people, so that more people see you. So it's important to make sure that you're putting in just as much, if not more, impact putting out the word and promoting this episode than they do for their own show. That's going to help bring in a bigger audience as well, and that is absolutely essential to standing out from just someone who is trying to get onto as many stages as possible. Let's be honest. Another great thing to do to build that credibility and that authority is to have your regularly appearing live show, your regularly appearing content machine. That way you have your own stage, your own platform that you can also invite these podcast hosts onto and interview them as well. This, having that cross-promotional opportunity, is also a great way to boost. A lot of people, I found looking in my experience being on a fair number of podcasts myself, I found that when you're connecting with these other podcast hosts, they're many times looking for that cross promotion as well, and they may turn you down if they don't have a cross promotional opportunity with you. So that's yet another way to leverage that. So if you want to learn more about building a connection machine of your own stage, your own place to gather your people, then head over to visibilityhacking.com and click the link that says Become a Visibility Hacker. That's going to pop you over into our Facebook group where we go live every Friday and so much more. So visibilityhacking.com, we'll see you over there, and I hope to see you on some upcoming podcasts. If you happen to secure some great gigs, definitely shout them out down below. We'd love to hear you. We'd love to support you. We're just one big happy visibility hacking community. All right, everyone, I will see you again real soon, and I'll see you soon. Until I see you, remember I love you, be excellent to each other, and go find your people because they're out there waiting for you.